Hello, greetings everyone watching on United States of Africa. I'm extremely disturbed by the news of the massacre in Burkina Faso. And this is very sad day for Africans and for people of African descent around the world. In order for Africa to regain its full status as a leading power, we have to fix our security system, and this includes ensuring that Africa develops mechanisms to address the security challenges that we are facing. So the establishment of the African Defense Forces is very critical to eradicate terrorism in the Sahel region and also in other regions in Africa. And this is a message that I've been preaching for a very long period of time, but very few have been listening to this. And without having a unified military, it's very difficult to confront the terrorism challenges that the Sahel region and also the other African regions like Mozambique are facing. We need to unify and stop using religion to propagate terrorism activities, because the sad thing is that when people use religion to carry out terrorism attacks, there's a lot of many Africans coming to defend their religion, and they do not even see the devastation that these kind of ideologies are causing. Because it's very important to acknowledge the fact that religion contributes a lot towards the increasing terrorism activities that we are seeing in Africa. If we remove the religion out of it, remove Islam, remove Christianity out of it, then these terrorists will not even have an excuse to carry out terrorism activities, because there'll be no 72 virgins that they're going to be promised. That they are promised usually in religion like Islam, and there'll be nothing like paradise for them if they commit these acts of terrorism. And therefore, it is very clear that religion is a motivating factor towards terrorism, and this is something that my brothers and sisters who practice Islam find it very difficult to understand. And if we had terrorism that used Christianity uh, as a motivation to carry out terrorism activity, we also need to call them out for using religion to cause out terrorism activities. And we have to completely dismantle these false religious ideologies that encourage Africans to hate each other because they're practicing different religions. And if we do this, then we are creating the Africa that we want to see. And this religious extremism must be combated and completely eliminated from African continent if we are to see the children of Africa have peace. What happened in Burkina Faso is really devastating. More than 160 civilians have been killed by jihadists, and this includes 20 children. And we have seen when such kind of things happen, there is usually a national day of prayer and national day of mourning. But how many national day of prayers and mourning are we going to have? We must solve the problem, the root cause of the problem, and address religious extremism that is a driving agent towards terrorism in Africa. At the same time, we have to look at the problems that are causing the rise of terrorism, which includes the presence of foreign troops in African continent. Some of them actually have been sponsoring these terrorism activities that we are seeing. And you won't see French soldiers, but actually behind the scenes they are training these terrorism activities that to equip these terrorists so that they're even advanced than Burkina Faso military. And if that happens, then when they attack, even the military appears to be powerless. And this should not be the case. As I extend my solidarity with and encourage the Burkina Faso military, I also call upon the Burkina Faso government to fully equip the Burkina Faso military so that they can equally confront the terrorism challenges. Because what I know is that the military is ill-equipped, and they've been supported by civilian military civilian forces, but actually that is not enough. So what Burkina Faso needs is to set very strong military structures, and this is where now the ECOWAS can come in and assist, uh, ensure that the regional military is seen as a solution, because if we don't address these problems that we are seeing in Burkina Faso, next time they'll move to Ghana and other West African countries. And as you know, that these terrorists do not have borders. So the next time they'll probably strike Tanzania or other countries if we don't stop them early enough. So this is the time for Africans to come together, and for the African Union to prove that it's relevant, to call an emergency summit to discuss the security situation of the African continent, because last year was supposed to be the year of silencing of guns, but we haven't seen the guns being silent. And it's time now we review these goals that the African Union has been setting, so that they can reflect the realities on the ground, and work towards a solution-based approach, including the people of African descent in providing solutions to the challenges that Africa is facing. Because without the young people of Africa being de-radicalized, we are not going to get anywhere, because many of them, because of unemployment, are running into terrorism activities. And once they are possessed with the religious extremism, then they become the worst terrorists that we are seeing. And it's very sad to see that it's actually Black people who are being used to destroy the African continent, to kill our own brothers and sisters. And this needs to come to an end, because we cannot continue to see African children being killed, African women being slaughtered on a daily basis. This is the time now for us to unify as an African nation, and decide to solve the security challenges that we have. Because if we continue holding on to our borders and say, oh, because this problem is affecting Burkina Faso, then it's not affecting Togo, so we're going to be silent. Being silent means we are complicit with what is happening in Burkina Faso. Being silent, it means that we are also indirectly supporting these terrorists. But if we decide that as African states, we are going to take action to end the terrorism activities that are being witnessed in Burkina Faso, in Mali, and other regions, if we begin to work together as an African people, then we are going to become stronger than our enemies. And these terrorists will not find any place to hide. It's time for religious clerics to start calling out those who are using religion to perpetuate terrorism. Because if they don't do that, and when terrorism activities they run to defend their religion, as opposed to running to condemn the terrorism activities that are caused by people who claim to be practicing Islam or Christianity, then we are going nowhere. Because the fact of the matter is that these people are being driven by some of the clauses in their religious text, to perpetuate this terrorism. And this is something that we need to put to an end so that no one uses a religion to perpetuate terrorism. I speak an end to this evil. Thank you very much. We need to wake up and be awakened first then. And the first step to wake up is it begins at an individual level. Wake up as an individual, and then you can wake up your family, you can wake up your community, and then the entire nation will wake up. The United States of Africa stands in solidarity with the Burkina Faso people, and we call upon the ECOWAS, the African Union, to move, to take action and move beyond the statements, because these statements actually do not solve any problem. What we need is to see action on the ground, the lives of civilians being protected. And it doesn't make sense that we have AMISOM and actually it doesn't play any significant role when these terrorism activities continues to rise. And the African Union should stop having this begging mentality and take ownership of the African continent, take ownership of the problems that are facing the African continent, and mobilize the African heads of state to realize the importance of working together to address the terrorism challenges that Africa is facing. Because, as I said, terrorists do not know borders. They don't know about borders. Actually, they don't care about borders, and they work everywhere. They completely disregard these colonial boundaries when they are spreading acts of terrorism. And this is something that we need to acknowledge that without capturing the mindset of the terrorists, and we cannot beat them in this game if we limit the war on terrorism within our own countries. It has to be an international struggle to put to an end this terrorism menace in Africa. And if we begin to take ownership of the security challenges that Africa is facing, then we are going to see no more Africans dying, no more African children being slaughtered, no more African women being slaughtered. It's very sad to see that in the land of upright man, not even the children are the women of the upright man are dying, and we need to do something about it and move beyond the statements and make sure that we come up with a solution to these challenges that Burkina Faso is facing, to the challenges that Mali is facing, to the challenges that Chad is facing, to the challenges that Mozambique is facing, because these are African problems and they deserve the African solutions. Uh, we have relied on the UN forces for more than 20 years, the foreign troops for decades, but actually they have contributed to the rise of terrorism because they have no idea how to solve African problems because they are actually not Africans. And this is why it's important for Africans to take ownership of their own problems and begin to work towards creating solutions. The United States of Africa continues to push the message of Africa for Africans at home and abroad. And Paul is saying, why not the message sent out to the large number of African American in the U.S. Armed Forces, land, air, and sea. It's very good if we can collaborate with the African American troops. But this mission has to be led by the African Union forces so that we completely eradicate the terrorism challenges that we are facing in the Sahel region. And I believe that if we begin to see this as an African problem, it means that even the African Americans in the U.S. Defense Forces, the U.S. Army, they'll see this as an African problem, and they'll directly relate to what we are going through, and be able to collaborate with the African troops in solving this challenge that we are facing. And also the same problem is happening in Nigeria, and not only there is happening in Nigeria. There are hundreds of people who are dying on a daily basis, and the same terrorists are using Islam to perpetuate terrorism, and the rise of religious intolerance is what is contributing towards the spread of these terrorism activities that we are seeing. And Nigeria is a very large country, so definitely we cannot imagine a situation that Nigeria is unable to contain the terrorism challenges that it's facing, because in terms of the manpower, Nigeria has the largest manpower, but what is lacking is the will, and also what is lacking is the clear strategies that are required to completely eliminate terrorism. And then another thing is disunity, lack of proper coordination within the Nigerian Defense Forces, and also this religious element, religious extremism. If it gets into the military, then it cripples the capacity of the military to respond. And also nepotism, tribalism, appointing people who just because they come from your tribe. If we begin to appoint people and just because they are efficient, then when it comes to security, these people will stand up for to defend Africa, and not just defend their personal interests. So I believe that for Nigeria, they just need to sit down and come up with ways that will work, because we as an African people, we need to unite and confront our own challenges, and look at the solutions that work. And unity has never failed anyone, so which means that if African countries come together and establish the African Defense Forces, then we are going to completely dismantle the terrorism activities, and we'll see even some beginning even to surrender if Africa comes together and begins to fight this common problem that we are facing. Once again, I'd like to extend my solidarity with the people in Burkina Faso, and I call upon the African Union to work to unify the African countries so that they can come up with a unified military for the African nation that will be able to confront the challenges that Africa is facing. Without us unifying and identifying these problems that are really common to all Africans everywhere, and without identifying the root cause of these terrorism activities, address the poor economic conditions that are forcing Africans to flee and embark on these terrorism activities, without fixing the African economy, it's going to be very difficult. And also, it's very important to train, to educate young Africans on the importance of Pan-Africanism, so that they embrace the African nationalism, and they'll be so proud of their country, such that none of them would wish to join these terrorist movements. So I believe that this is a wake-up call for Africans to begin to work together to completely eradicate the insecurity challenges that Africa is facing in the 21st century. Let us stand in solidarity with our people in Burkina Faso, and let us all work together towards creating an African nation where everyone will be secure and no one will be struggling to defend even his or her right to exist on this earth. Thank you very much. The same thing is happening in Burkina. It's happening in West Papua. The Indonesian military has killed more than 4 civilians, and many more are dying on a daily basis as the Indonesian military continues to attack West Papuan civilians. They've been burning homes, and thousands have been displaced from their homes. And we need to condemn what is happening in West Papua in the strongest terms possible, and also stand in solidarity with the indigenous people in West Papua because they are people of African descent, and the African Union cannot afford to be silent when genocide continues to happen in West Papua. We need to see a more proactive African Union that responds to problems that are facing people of African descent around the world. We stand also in solidarity with West Papuans and call for the international leaders to respond to the humanitarian crisis in West Papua and grant the indigenous people their right to self-determination, because that is the only thing that will ensure that their human rights are respected and protected. Thank you very much for joining. It doesn't matter whether you're joining from Africa, in the US, in West Papua, or all over the world. Thank you for joining and have a great day.